Today I am announcing a reading challenge for 2025. Lots of people's 2025 reading challenges are going live, so here's mine. Um, I I hope some people will take part in this with me. Um, I wanted to do a Christian fantasy reading challenge, so that's what we're doing. I have 12 prompts. You are not required to go in order, so they're not like assigned to specific months. It's just like whenever you fill one, you fill it. Um, so yeah. So let's just get going with those. I don't think there's anything. And if you can read more than one in a month, it doesn't matter. I just have 12 so that they even out for every month. But if you read if you go on a Christian fantasy reading binge and you read all 12 prompts in a row, I will count that. Only thing is you can't double up on them since it's a year-long reading challenge. Yeah, and preferably they will be like have Christian elements to them. And when I say that, I mean I would consider Lord of the Rings Christian fantasy for this challenge. So, that's a very wide margin. At the very least, the author needs to be Christian and there needs to be Christian things for them to count. So, without further ado, I say that every time, don't I? Anyway, let's just get going on to the prompts. So the first one is an allegorical story. So this will be something like the Passages series by Paul McCusker. Trying to think of others. One could argue Magician's Nephew or Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe would count for this. Probably not the rest of Narnia, but at least those two. Despite what Lewis says about the I would accept them as allegories. Basically just a story, like one that is, or of course you've got Pilgrim's Progress, like basically just, something that is clearly representing a biblical or another story. Well, something that clearly like corresponded one with something in the real world. Number 2 is a retelling. So for this, again, I would also accept the last answers for this, Passages or Narnia. So those two kind of overlap a little bit, but or you could do a fairy tale retelling. I know book 4 in the Gates of Heaven series by C.S. Lakin, that one is a fairy tale retelling. So yeah, that would count. Or Dream of Kings by Sharon Hink is a Joseph retelling, so that would totally count. Next, 3 is an original story, so basically a story that is not allegorical or a retelling, just something that is original. By that, I don't mean that there's not like a god character or something, just not something that is very clearly just retelling something else. Yeah. I'm giving examples, but I will plan to every month do a more specific recommendations video for each, whether it's just a short or it's a full-blown video. I will plan to do that every month. Let's see. Number 4 is a medieval world, because medieval is the most popular setting for fantasy, so yeah. That one should not be hard. Next is 5 is a non-medieval world. So again, should be obvious. A world that is based in something other than the medieval era. I don't care what time period, just because medieval is so prevalent that I was like, you know what? As long as I just say non-medieval, that's fine. Next is a portal fantasy. So something like Narnia, something where people from our world go through, or I guess technically it doesn't be our world, but you go through a portal or magical entry somehow into another world. Next is a high fantasy, which is like, basically it's set entirely in another world. So, like Lord of the Rings would be a good example of that. And then finally, a low fantasy, which would be, like there's a hidden magical element of this earth. I believe that's how that's properly used. Yeah. And then a non-magical fantasy is the next prompt. So just one where it's just sort of normal people. Basically just the only element is fantastical. The main fantastical element is it is set somewhere else. If there's like magical creatures, I would still count that as non-magical. Like if there's just dragons, just random. I'm thinking of Ilion. If there's just dragons randomly, but like nobody has powers or anything, I would count that as non-magical. And then a fantasy with magic or powers. I don't read fantasy with like sorcery magic, kind of like magic that feels too witchy with spells and stuff, typically. So I'm not including, like, I said magic or powers so that could fill in for it. Yeah. Next, we have 11, a female main character, and then 12 is a male main character. So, yes. So that is the Christian Fantasy Reading Challenge for 2025. I hope you will participate. Let me know if you have any ideas or any suggestions that you have for these prompts. And I will see y'all next time. Please like and subscribe. Bye.